welcome to This Is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast award show. Tonight we will be celebrating the top 3 episodes from Season 1 and Season 5. And as a special bonus, we'll also be forcing Mike, Andrew, and Kerry to relive the 3 worst episodes from each season. Listen live as they bitch their way through the worst episodes of both seasons. Point and laugh at their misery. And our special gift to you, we will read the top episodes that you voted for on our Facebook page. So join us, won't you, as we adventure back through these magnificent episodes and laugh at our hosts as they vomit through their fingers talking about the stinkers. So without further ado, here are your hosts, Mike, Andrew, and Kerry. Well, welcome to the show, everyone. It's a different show today. We're not covering any episodes. We are doing our top 3, bottom 3 this week for the last 2 seasons we covered, which is Season 1 and Season 5. We asked all of you to participate, and we did get some response, so thank you very much. With me today is Andrew and Kerry. Would you guys like to say hello?
Hello. It's time to light the lights. It's time to start the music. It's a gala show.
Gala.
I'm in a tux. We made it through the first two seasons. Well, first and fifth.
And that is impressive.
That's it. Exactly. Well, I'm excited. This was really an interesting exercise because all throughout the recordings we have done, we were saying things like, definitely not in my top 20, but maybe in my top, 50 or whatever. Or I would never rewatch this, but
yeah, it was a little bit of a challenge for me to think of. I mean, there are obvious answers, but at the same time, I was like, do I really care about this episode this much? Or, kind of being put to the task of having to choose the 3 best from each season or the 3 worst. So it was fun though. I enjoyed it, and I made myself laugh a couple times writing my responses, and I was like, eh.
Can we just say that none of us know what the other people have chosen at all? So this is like a
That's a very good point.
Correct. Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of fun with this. We're going to keep our answers away from each other until now. So this is all blind.
We'd like to thank PricewaterhouseCoopers for collating our results and keeping it secret. The envelopes have been tallied. We've got 3 copies that came in by certified post. I'm really excited.
Hugh Jackman is reading the results.
Very exciting.
Yeah. So, as per pre-game rules, I believe the idea is to go through the bottom 3, the 3 worst episodes first. And then we'll do the top 3 and incorporate the listener. They don't look at us. It's a listening medium. The listener response. The vote results have been tallied, and then we will see who is right and who is left.
Okay, so we'll do season 1.
Excellent. So the 3rd worst episode. Let's start with Kerry. For you, Kerry, what was the episode you hated 3rd most, if that makes sense? Not the one you hated the most, but the one that you hated slightly more or less than the others.
Born Again.
Born Again. And why is it your 3rd hated most episode?
Because they made Buffalo look really bad, and I was not happy.
So it's more of a personal thing.
Well, plus the episode was really bad, but for me it was all over the place. There was no. I'm trying to think if there was even a good story in there. There may have been somewhere, but it was very difficult to see. If I remember correctly, I think we all agreed the scarf was god-awful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The scarf death.
kill.
I forgot about the scarf. I may have to reevaluate everything I've thought about the last couple of days.
Yeah, the only thing missing was that finger from off screen. Just kind of.
Yeah.
It was really bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
there was just for me personally, there was just too much going on with no explanation kind of given for any of it. It just wasn't, and none of it was good for me.
Well,
anyway.
classic X-Files problem, right? To bite off more than you can chew when it comes to story. I will say this about that episode, which is that it is saved by Brian Markinson.
A little bit.
As much as I did not like a lot of the stuff in there, his performance is enough to make me go, not the worst episode.
No. Yeah, I would agree with you in that. I mean, the performances are all right. It's not so much the actors, it's the material. There's not an invalid answer here.
I agree. The acting was not awful. Not like some other episodes where the guest stars were just like, why are they there? Mm-hmm. It was just the execution of it, the storyline of it. I just couldn't get behind it.
Fair. I think that is a totally valid answer.
Andrew?
Shall we? And I'm realizing by my count, we'll have to cover briefly like 30 or 32 episodes. So we can't spend too much time on any one. So I believe we'll need some appropriate sound effect, a fart or a thwap or something to cue up these guys. But excellent choice. Not my choice, but I think when we get to the worst episodes, we'll find that they're all valid in some way.
Yes, I'm sure none of us are wrong in the end.
Yeah. And speaking of, Mike, what is your
you would like me
third worst episode? Yes.
For this task, sir, being put to the question, I would choose Shadows. The other end of that coin, I think. I actually think I prefer Born Again more. They are very similar, but I just don't like this episode. It's not very interesting. I would easily choose other episodes to watch. I think it's just blah. The only real interesting part is when Mulder takes his glasses off to get the fingerprint.
Yep.
That's fantastic. But the protagonist, Ghost, is pretty inconsistent. He's killing anyone who poses a threat to our main protagonist lady, but he can't decipher that the FBI is here to help. So, he tries to kill them too. It's just disjointed. And I think, and the picture. Wow, the picture where they materialize the photograph picture behind. Yeah. It's like, come on. There's just a lot of missteps with this episode. And I
that one.
Did not really like that one. So, and she makes sex noises when she's scared. So that was weird. I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know if I was watching the correct
Very
episode.
valid.
True. Okay. That's fair.
Andrew, how about you?
My choice for third worst episode is Genderbender.
Ooh.
Okay.
Surprising.
Yes, I am nothing if not controversial, but this is like Born Again and to some extent Shadows. I think lesser than Shadows. What I'm going to say is it's a case where they mash a lot of concepts together and, can't really tell one story. They're trying to tell two or three at the same time. Shadows, maybe not so much. I think they just didn't.
It's definitely
tell that right.
a story. It's not like an overpacked box, as I like to describe it. It's one story, but it's not done very well.
Well, Genderbender is the overflowing box of plot ideas.
Correct.
The crop circle tie-in comes way out of left field, and it makes you feel like the whole episode's been a waste of time. Yeah. Scully has the weirdest made-for-TV sexual experiences you can do on Sunday nights before 9 o'clock in the 90s, which just made her a weak character compared to what we already know of her. And there are two Deus Ex Machina moments where the kindred disappearance at the end, that crop circle moment, but also their ability to teleport in and scoop up Marty.
What the fuck, man? Talk about just, we got to end this episode, man. Make them aliens.
Yep. We got to get out. Boom. And it's like literally, I'm reminded of the Simpsons episode with the new dog character they bring in, and they take the freeze frame and he is lifted out. I have to go back to my planet now. It's kind of what it felt like.
That's funny. I have a question. And I know it for me, it obviously would make the episode better, but how much better would this episode be on your list for worst episodes if they cut out those last two surprises and did something else? We don't have to go into what it is, but if they took that out, would this bump it out of your bottom three? Because I think it would.
I'll bet you if we listen to the episode that we recorded about it again, I'm sure in the moment we discussed what better endings would have been. And I think there is an interesting story there, but they just botched it at the end. Well, and certain points in it as well, but it really does not hang together well. It's not a good suit. So
very true.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That is the third worst episodes in our minds in season 1.
On to number 2.
Cue an appropriate sound effect to go to the second worst, higher quality fart? I don't know.
I can do farts. Ghost in the machine.
Kerry could not contain herself.
I could not.
She had to tell us what it was.
I didn't know when I was supposed to speak.
Well, you are entitled to jump on in with your enthusiasm. Kerry, please tell us why Ghost in the Machine is your second most hated episode in season 1.
It's a terrible story. It doesn't make sense. It's horrible acting. Jerry's in it.
Yes,
and,
Jerry.
And
what a man.
Scully climbs in ductwork and fires gunshots just randomly within the ductwork. It just sucked. It was just bad. I don't know that there was anything that could have been done to make it better for me. I mean, maybe for somebody else, but for me, there wasn't. There was no direction in it. I get maybe what they were trying to go for. It just never came together for me.
For me in that episode, the worst part was the sudden reveal of Claude, whatever his name is, being a bad guy.
Thanks for all your hard work, Mulder. I'll take the diskette.
And it's like, what?
Of course he was. They had to do the government thing. They had to. And I'm just going to swoop right in here and do mine, because mine is actually Ghost in the Machine as well.
For second place.
For second place.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, X-Files.
It is not my second place. I'll just put it out there.
All right. X-Files and killer technology is a thing. And it does have a shaky relationship because none of them are great. So this is the first of those episodes. And I mean, there isn't a whole lot more. I think what bothers me about it is just some of the unbelievability in that, oh yeah, this computer's trying to kill people, but it can also physically alter the circuitry to create the first death when the guy puts his key in the door. Miraculously, somehow that was able to happen by this AI. I think the one-liners after each death or whatever, he's like learning he's learning how to communicate with people through 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
But who's he communicating with? He's talking
I know,
to the audience.
He's communicating with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was kind of hoping he would say stick around after he locked the guy in the bathroom. Stick around.
I let him go.
Yeah. I don't know. Just not a great episode. Jerry's just a sad sack. I don't care about him. The episode does what we hate, and that's, parachute in these characters from the past. And, Mulder knows him, and we're supposed to give a shit about him. But they don't make him likable at all. He steals work from Mulder, and he passes it off as his own. He can't do anything. We never see him do anything worthwhile. No. And then he dies, and Mulder is sad, but we're like, why?
and then the audience doesn't give a shit.
And, just on those points and some other stuff, it's just not good. Yeah,
I would agree with that. I might be changing my answer for what I think my horribleness episode is. But I will tell you that Ghost in the Machine was my number 1, but I'm actually going to change my number 1 so I can contribute to this conversation here. and make it really surprising what my number one hated episode is. Because, I mean, I didn't like Ghost in the Machine. The 2 pages of why I hated the opening when we did the episode.
Oh, yeah.
Been a spoiler, but it's parachuting in Jerry. It's the reversal of Claude. It's just Mulder's flip-flop on Jerry also, like love him and hate him and then love him again.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting, but just terribly, terribly executed. So, but in fact, so yes, originally that was my number one, but I'm going to change it in the moment because I can do that.
Wow,
this is the beauty of live recording.
I got to be honest, the fact that was your number one is a revelation. So now I'm curious.
Well,
I'm curious and scared
funny
at the same time.
Yes. Well, it'll make sense. You'll know why. But my number 2 most hated one, which I suspect is possibly number 1 for other people, is Space.
Yeah.
Awful. You can't really pin it on William Graham because he went on to direct EBE, which is a great episode. Obviously,
not
it's
a director
script
problem.
Which is Chris Carter, who wrote it. Was it the $1 million set that looks horrible? The 80s style shooting that's completely out of place with the X-Files modern sensibility? Was it the injection of yet another character trait from Mulder, his astronaut fanboy status that will never be seen again? Who knows? And
all of those things.
Yeah.
Well,
Did you guys love Space? Oh, and you have it as number 1.
I did.
I did too. We were all on board with that one. So, I mean, we may as well just go into it. You hit all the points, but
yeah,
I think some of the biggest problems are the fact that Scully doesn't play the doctor role when she needs to.
Oh God,
yeah.
Questionable acting choices as probably, I don't want to throw shade at the director, but he is in charge.
Yeah.
So it's like Mulder's like giddiness and the thumbs up and it's okay that he's like that, but it's also very weird because we never see it before or after ever again. And it just stands out.
Thing.
Yep. Fucking Colonel Belt's whimpering.
Well, but you got to give it to the actor, though. I mean, a poor choice in terms of making, something interesting, but he committed.
Yeah.
That actor committed completely.
He did commit, but by far the biggest problems with this episode is that the Space Ghost could not come up with a better thing to do than this intricate, convoluted plot and have possess Colonel Belt into destroying vital equipment on the shuttle that apparently no man can do without being detected, at least. And he had something to do with the Challenger exploding.
By the way.
Okay.
Sure.
And then on top of that, I still can't forgive when something goes wrong on the shuttle while it's orbiting and Mission Control Lady drives to find Mulder and Scully. It's like, your job is on the line right now. What are you doing?
Have you not heard of the phone device, which allows you to instantaneously connect with people? I mean, what the hell,
ridiculous. Lady? Terrible choices, convoluted plot, and uninspired set design.
Kerry, why did you hate Space?
Because of all the reasons you guys just said.
Oh,
I don't think I have anything original for it. It's literally point by point what I wrote down. I can't even say it's trying too hard. It's like it's not even trying. I still don't know why the ghost is mad, or what it's doing, or why it's destroying shit, aside from whatever the hell explanation they gave that made no sense. I just... horrible. Yeah. Everything was bad.
Well, I would argue it's perhaps not as horrible as another episode.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Well, this is interesting because now I don't...
I don't know what you're referring to.
So okay, we just did our number 2s into our number 1s, and then you get your number 1. Okay.
That's right. So if you're keeping track, originally my number 1 was going to be Ghost in the Machine, which was not going to be a surprise to Mike or Kerry.
No.
But now there is a surprise. All right, my number 1 hated episode in season 1, Young at Heart.
Really?
Yeah.
Out of all of them?
As I think about it, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't like Space and I didn't like Ghost in the Machine. That much is evident. But as I think about it, Young at Heart, super awful. Like, they're mashing 3 plots together. It just does not work at all. I mean, we don't get to latch on to anything. We drop yet another character into Mulder's arcs, and he gets killed in the episode while Mulder is shouting at him to explain what's going on.
Explain.
Did you fall, Reggie? Should I call it
Reggie?
Reggie, the commercial's not here yet. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Reggie?
And
Come
then
on, man.
another character trait that they drop into Mulder that never comes back. This whole non-regulation shot that he
By the book.
Yeah, that he didn't take or whatever, and
Something he's obviously thrown to the wind since this guy died.
He got over it. He was fine.
yeah. But
It's an interesting pick.
the lobster arm or whatever as well. It's like we're watching this perfectly adequate episode, and then lobster arm comes in. And I'm like, what? You want to talk about an episode you can't understand? I mean, Space, sure, but did you get Young at Heart? Because even I was watching that, going, why are you doing these experiments?
It's funny you picked that one because I agree with you. It's wholly overpacked with storylines, and they don't really know where they want to go with it. But I think the campiness of Mark Snow's bad guy music and just how overacted.
The Renaissance man of the bad guy who can friggin' do everything and sell government secrets.
He's got bad eyesight. He's got a fucking lobster arm, and he lands the perfect job at the end of the episode as a piano tuner. Just in time to take Scully's friend hostage.
In addition to being a A-level photographer,
Yep.
Car break-in artist, and information peddler.
You know what? He's got a full schedule. He has been waiting to get back at Mulder for a long time. So he's playing this out.
He boned up while he's in prison. He learned a thing.
He's
or
like,
two.
I got to photograph Mulder. I got to get it into the fucking developer. I got to go to Walgreens by 8 a.m. All right. So I can plant them on his car and let him know that I was watching.
I'm everywhere you are.
I would love to be the photo lab technician when he comes in to pick up his instance. So I got your 8x10 glossies of, is he a model?
This dude, he doesn't look like he's aware you're taking pictures.
Should I be calling? I see that arm. I'm not going to do shit. Okay.
I'm not a
And then his
big fan
boss
of,
is calling.
Scully out there as bait. Like, that was just...
And then she gets shot, and he's like, check her, and runs away.
He runs away, yeah. She'll be fine.
She'll be fine.
She has a vest
my
on,
God,
it's fine.
Dumpster fire.
Yeah, it is a bad episode.
Yeah.
It is.
But goddamn, if they didn't find a use for Deep Throat at the
Right?
and that's the only thing. It's like, why are you using him here? I mean, there's so many...
You see Cigarette Smoking Man more animated than you'll ever see him yelling at him. Give us the information. God damn it. Come on.
Well, okay, before we move on to because I'm sure the audience is wanting us to move on now, as much fun as we're having. If you could remove Jerry Hardin from this terrible, terrible episode and put him somewhere else, Deep Throat character, to sort of augment the plot somewhere interesting, where would it be in season 1? And if you don't have an immediate answer, that's fine. We can just move on.
In season 1,
Conduit?
Conduit would have made total sense.
It would have made
actually,
much more sense than Young at Heart. I would have put him in space. We've been having troubles with this asshole space ghost. We haven't quite figured it out, but
Go figure.
We think
it out.
we think he's an alien bounty hunter.
I should tell you, he's the reason the Challenger exploded, and
He's getting paid
been
20
very
quatlus.
unsuccessful in getting revenge. Which is why we're in space doing weird things, and which is why he's angry. So it's a big circle, really.
It's a whole big thing, I guess.
You are the one, Mulder, who can stop it.
Shall we talk about our top 3 picks? I think we shall.
Oh, we shall, sir.
Let us begin with our third best episode, And let us begin with Kerry so that nobody steals her homework.
Ice.
Oh, okay.
Good pick.
Why is it your third best? Why not your top pick? Because you liked others better. Yeah, I get it. But what did you like about Ice?
The question answers itself.
Yeah.
It was my top 3. You could easily interchange 2 and 3. So it just happened to be the one I looked down at on my notes first.
Fair enough. So what's the good bits about Ice for you?
The acting, the choice of the guest actors really did a lot for the episode. Felicity Huffman, the guy with the annoying laugh, I can't... Denny?
Banya. Banya from Seinfeld.
Yeah, right.
Yes. And it created enough paranoia for the body horror, if anybody's keeping track. I didn't like the little worm thingy in the dog's ear. I didn't like it in Bear's neck. But it was so well executed, and the tension between Mulder and Scully was palpable the entire time. And I liked it. For me, it was a bit of a twist at the end, but you also have Morgan and Wong. So in general, you can't really go wrong with those two.
Yep. And there's a reason it works.
For me, as a woman and the only one here, the fact that Scully took charge of the situation in the early 90s as a woman, I thought was very cool, and a very cool choice to have her do that. She was just no nonsense bitch, and I loved it.
Absolutely.
Scully is great at that stuff.
Well, you said that your second and third choices were interchangeable, and I would tend to agree with that about my choices, which will be to say that Ice was my second choice, but I will talk about it now as if it were my third choice so that we can be on the same page. And I totally agree with you. It was excellent. I'm calling that style of episode a haunted house because they're kind of all trapped in the mansion. And they do a couple of those. They do Firewalker. You could argue that Darkness Falls is kind of that episode. But this was the first, and they hit it so well. Again, Morgan and Wong with a really great script, this homage to The Thing. I mean, so much so that they got the original, stage manager, props manager, set designer, the guy who worked on The Thing got to work in this one. And it's an excellent exercise in suspense. And I agree with you, there is this body horror element to it, but it's not just horrorful, it's suspenseful because you're sitting there waiting for the next bad thing to happen. And they just pair it out just so well. And it's a rare thing in TV and film because they usually just go for the shock horror stuff, right? Yeah. But in this one, it is suspenseful. I mean, it's not without its flaws, but they're totally forgettable in the moment because everything else is just so good.
Yeah, I think some of my favorite aspects of that episode is when Mulder and Scully are at odds and they're yelling at each other in this circle of accusations, and Mulder's kind of on the outs with everyone. And it gives those two characters some really good moments. Fast forwarding towards the end where Scully goes in to check on him and they can finally talk level-headed, about what was going on. It's just good stuff all around.
So, Mike, what you're saying is that Ice is not your number 3.
I'm going to drop a bomb. Ice is not on my list.
Whoa.
Wow.
And everyone's going to throw hate and shade, and it's not because Ice is bad. That is not what I'm saying at all.
I will fully admit that I remember when we recorded Ice, I picked on a lot of things in that episode, as much as I liked it.
It's not infallible, but at the same time, it is fantastic, and I'm not disputing that.
Well, Mike, what is your number 3?
If put to the question right
you
now,
have been, sir.
It gets edged out, and you're going to laugh. By Darkness Falls.
Oh, Darkness Falls, yeah.
And it's not because they're both really good to me, and I love them, but I think for me, as I said in the episode, I'm a sucker for the setting, and it plays a lot of the same notes of tension and are we going to make it out of this thing alive? What's going on? There are people you trust. There are people you don't trust. And as much as I do like Ice, I think something that hurts it for me is that it is such an homage to The Thing that it's not quite as creative. And I don't say that with any disrespect. The episode is very much different than The Thing, but it still draws heavily on it. So it's
hard not to watch it without seeing The Thing.
I mean, the setting itself is very much The Thing. And while very, very good and cool, I think it hurts it a little bit in my eyes.
Fair. I think it's a good assessment. So continue. Tell me more about Darkness Falls.
Well, I had to pick one outdoor episode, and I could not in good conscience pick Shapes, right? So, so not that I dislike Shapes. We all enjoyed it, but it's not a top 3 by any chance. So, like I said,
our listening audience agrees with you. It's worth noting.
I think they agree to the extreme, probably. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I think some of the things, I actually like the guest actors more in Darkness Falls than Ice. Felicity Huffman doesn't hit for me. The only character I obviously don't like in Darkness Falls is Humphreys, and you're not supposed to. I get that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
He did a great job, nothing against the actor, but I think everyone came together to create a very fun episode. It's different. You're isolated and you can't escape the world. I believe I actually said that same thing in the episode where it's like, yeah, you got this haunted house idea where you can't escape the location, but this is like, you can go anywhere you want. You can't escape what you're trying to get away from. So it's a different spin on it. The only thing it's missing for me is that explanation of why can't they burn firewood.
Yeah.
It does hurt the episode. That's not, you can't just gloss over it, but at the same time, still very fun. And it took me an embarrassing amount of time to actually realize that. So,
yeah, if I was to pick on anything else with Darkness Falls, it would be the government conspiracy angle at the end, like what they were.
You mentioned
what they were trying to go for. Like, I remember when we finished recording on that episode, and we were basically saying, was it maybe some kind of plot to get Mulder and Scully out of the way? And, then I'm thinking, well, if that's the case, they really shouldn't have sent the hazmat suit guys.
It's interesting you say that, because I don't know that it was. I know we joked about it and we talked about it a little bit.
No, I don't think it was either.
But Mulder said he pulled some strings to get it. So if they wanted them out of the picture, I don't know if that was intended or not. I don't know if what we're drawing from that is accurate.
Yep.
But yeah.
Well, shall we hear what our listening audience thought was the third best episode?
Yeah. Please.
Cue the drum roll. In that, with a voting tally of 11% out of all the votes, and not a huge number of voters, I will say. Our experiment with democracy will need a bit of work. But the
just like real voting, can't get them to turn up.
Real democracy. Our third place choice was the pilot.
Interesting.
Good choice.
Which it is a great choice. Like, there's a classic amount of stuff in that episode, which I would argue has sort of set the tone for mythology episodes going forward.
Yeah, I mean, at a minimum, it gave us the introduction to these characters that have endured for 30 some odd years. So that's good enough reason for me.
Yeah, indeed. And I think it's worth noting that, it really did, as far as the audience voting went, it was pretty clear. There were a lot of good choices, but ultimately it stood out as, this is definitely the third place choice. So, with that said, shall we go on to our second choice for top episode?
Yeah, I want you to start this one, Andrew.
Okay. You want to know what it was?
You keep getting changey up. So I want to.
Fair enough.
I want you to go first.
I did change it up so I could line.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So originally my number 3 is now a number 2. It is Beyond the Sea.
Excellent choice.
Kerry, was that your number 2? Are we in sync? No, it wasn't. Okay. Say no more then. Say no more. Yeah. Solid episode.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe one of the best monster of the week kind of episodes. And it's all because of Brad Dourif and his chemistry with Gillian Anderson.
Yeah.
Just so good. I mean, similarly to how Ice has comparisons to The Thing, this one has kind of unfair comparisons to Silence of the Lambs, but very much its own thing. I mean, I would say watching it, I'm not reminded of Silence of the Lambs like I'm reminded of The Thing when watching Heist.
It wasn't until someone had mentioned that in like an article or something that I read that I was like, really? I didn't even catch that. Other than serial killer and female detective or whatever, but I didn't even think about it, honestly.
If there was one thing I would drop from it, it would be the cut-ins of Papa Scully. Like, okay. I know what they were going for, but the fact that he's there kind of in cut frames, like she's looking and she sees him and then she doesn't. She's not that character, you know, so to make her that.
They try to do that to her a couple times. Irresistible pops to mind. Irresistible and the one with her buddy who dies, Jack Willis. They do that in that episode too.
Yeah.
Oh, Lazarus.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Brad Dourif is a fucking national treasure.
Yeah.
Without that guy in this role, I don't know. It's hard to say, and there's really no point in conjecture, but I don't think the episode would have done as well. His back and forth with Jillian is just so good. And my favorite thing about this episode is that you end up caring about this man by the end of the episode as the viewer. And even with Scully and her, they like develop this working relationship where she's able to go through like the stages of grief of losing her father a couple days before and come out at the end of the episode through everything she's experienced with him to kind of accept something about her father's death. And I think he helped her through that in some weird way. And I just think the whole dynamic is fantastic. And I can't say enough good things about this episode.
Yeah, if you don't cast the right actor to do the opposite role in that scenario, then you do not believe that she has bridged a gap in her grieving.
Yeah.
And the relationship, hard to do, when he's an obvious villain, and you know what he's done. So like it's what really pushes that button, when you're looking at those two characters interact, it's like, I know this shouldn't work, but yet you're making me feel episode. So yeah,
it's a weird feeling when you're like, man, why did the serial killer have to die?
It's a very strange.
I wish he would come back for a sequel or something.
I know, right?
I thought it was a breakout performance for Gillian Anderson, and to give her character more to do than just tell Mulder that he's wrong and then be proven wrong later on. But I thought Gillian Anderson did a phenomenal job. And
going toe-to-toe with Brad Dourif is a tall order, and she pulls it off.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. I mean, it's a real tour de force for that character, and to give it to that actor, it doesn't work unless it's the right person. Well, Kerry, you have a chance. Tell us.
Tell us your number 2.
Yeah, because we've been skipping and I've been changing and all this stuff.
See what you're doing?
Squeeze. Yeah.
Obviously can't go wrong with that.
Tell us about Squeeze, Kerry.
First Monster of the Week episode. It was executed great. It was creepy as shit. And the guy
Hutchison,
Squeeze,
Yep.
He did a really great job. It was a nice change from it being what was assumed to be just like an alien UFO show, and kind of showing, okay, so we can do a little bit more than just UFOs and little green men, whatever. Yeah. And I think that it was just creepy, and in his nest, I think it was almost like tangible what they were.
Yeah.
But I love the concept, and I thought it was very well executed.
Well, and what I love about that episode is they did something, because in so many episodes, they are just passengers to the plot.
Yep.
But in this one, they are investigating it, they're gathering evidence, they track him down, and ultimately they defend themselves to allow them to arrest him. But
and what a great moment too, because they had to like work together to get the handcuffs on him,
and they didn't just have to be saved and necessarily.
Yeah, they didn't just blow his brains out. They put him behind bars.
And I'm gonna say it again. The fucking emergence scene from her vent is so disturbing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If I have okay, first of all, obviously it's really good because they made a sequel of it. It was so good that they brought him back. My qualm would be with the sequel of Tombs in that they kind of didn't use the shapeshifter, the body performance artist that they'd hired to do some of those scenes. Pepper, I think their name is, did not really use them to their fullest potential in Tombs.
They had the perfect opportunity showing us how to squeeze into a tube for a toilet drain.
4-inch drainage pipe. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
They didn't show us the rebreather he had while he was going through to do that, because that would have been very useful. The audience with a pretty convincing polling number of 12%. Marginally higher than the pilot at 11%. Thought that the Erlenmeyer Flask was the second best episode of season 1. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that is a solid choice for number 2. And I will say that the audience agrees with you that they chose Squeeze. It was a tie. It was a tie between Squeeze and Beyond the Sea for number 1.
Ooh.
Oh, I did okay.
You totally predicted the audience results. You should go into predictions for presidents and such because you. Well, I think it's time for us to talk about our number 1 choices. Then,
yeah,
Mike.
Let's do it.
Well, I think you will be surprised to know that I chose the Erlenmeyer Flask. As
We
number
agree
1.
on something.
We actually agree on something.
Excellent. So let's dissect this one.
Well, first of all, the audience is wrong. The Erlenmeyer Flask is clearly better than Beyond the Sea and Squeeze. And the audience has a real hard-on for Squeeze because it was 16%, as was Beyond the Sea, whereas Erlenmeyer Flask was only 12%. So
I get that. It's so hard not to think of Squeeze when you think of season 1. It's got so much going for it. It is that first Monster of the Week, and it was great. So, I mean, I don't fault anyone for picking Squeeze.
Oh, God, no. I would have chosen it, except I already done a monster. Well, no, I hadn't actually chosen any Monsters of the Week. That's surprising. Well, it's so hard to choose.
I tried to do at least one mythology episode, for my picks. Yep. And this was my number 1.
Well, and that was probably why I chose it as well, because it's kind of the culmination of so much stuff that they have alluded to, and it ties it together so nicely. We have this huge exit of Jerry Hardin in a really, oh my God moment.
Yeah.
It was, and then, shutting down the X-Files and this whole thing. It's just so much episode, and it's so well done.
And it's so good. Like, there is so much going on. And as much as we like to give the X-Files crap about, episodes that are stuffed too full, this never felt like you couldn't keep up. You didn't know what was going on. No, this was, okay, I see what's happening here. This is amazing. It just keeps going. Spycraft everywhere. And, it has everything we love, or at least everything I love. There's the mythology, at least in the first few seasons. Spycraft, we get to see a cleanup in progress, at least a little bit.
Yep.
We actually get to see an alien, but Scully's the one who gets the reveal, which flips the whole show on its head. Yeah. It's not Mulder. He would die if he was able to see this. More deep throat, an amazing climax, and we're just left with feeling like we were gut punched at the end.
Yeah.
And all we want is the next episode. So it's like,
well, yeah,
that's the way to go out.
Go from here.
Yeah. I mean, they just did so good, so well on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's face it. I think any of the top 3 that we have chosen, it's hard to rank them. Like, they're all good episodes, right? So to sort of try and rank them is a hard exercise. I don't dislike Beyond the Sea when you compare it to Erlenmeyer Flask. Like, they are different episodes, and they're great for different reasons. But as far as like maximum number of amazing things happening in the episode and kind of bringing us full circle on things that other episodes have alluded to, like Erlenmeyer Flask.
Yeah.
It's, because they set some things up with Beyond the Sea. That Scully's important. You know, her family's important to her, but it's still encapsulated in that one episode. Whereas this is where the X-Files kind of gets its legs as a show which is beyond serial. You know, it is not just about one episode to one episode.
Yeah. And they, you know, this is still a fledgling show, not only in that it's its first season, but it's a cult show. You know, this is not like Law and Order where everyone's in the mainstream just watching this. This is like breaking ground, and it's obscure and it's gaining traction. And I think with this kind of season finale, it just showed everyone that this is a legitimate endeavor here. They can be just as good and just as suspenseful as your typical cop show. And I think it's just, absolutely, they ended this season perfectly.
Well, I think that's it for our top three, bottom three in season 1.
Yeah.
We have heard from the audience. We've heard from everybody that's here. Do you want to say anything else, or do we close the curtain on season 1?
So we close the curtain.
Close it.
Move on to season 5.
That's right. Well, I'm excited because I know with season 1 we had some obvious parallels, but I think with season 5 we're going to see some deviation.
There's some difference here.
Yeah.
I don't know where. This one was obviously, or not obviously, a little bit harder, honestly.
It was.
I will say for the top 3 it was a little easier. For the bottom 3, so much to choose from.
Whoa. I was going to say the opposite.
I was blank on that one.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I think I got really picky with
let me guess. Your number, I think I know your number 1.
Should we just guess each other's choices?
Yeah, we can do that.
I don't know. I think that we should just do our reveals and such, and be great. I will say that the choices from the audience for the top 3 were much stronger here than they were. Like, it was a bit more spread out in season 1, but with season 5, very much an alignment in values going on.
So who wants to go first?
Let's start with our third worst episode, and I'm going to have you start, Mike. What is your third worst choice in season 5?
Third
You're
worst.
still choosing.
No, it's between two. It's between two. I got them right here, and they're... You know what? I'm just going to go with All Souls.
Yeah.
It's just a big miss for me. And it's not the religion angle. That's fine, but it's because of everything that goes into it. I don't agree with Scully's obnoxiously deep and to her core fascination with this kid that was a fake child. I don't buy it. It doesn't help her character at all. This is a one and done thing. You know, they gave this to her for a few episodes in season 5, and you never hear from her again. It's just in the past. And the fucking Nephilim, who I don't have a problem with that so much as I do with his clunky presentation to Scully.
Dropping
the key for no reason. He needs to be witnessed, Andrew. He can't just sit her down for a cup of coffee and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. No. She's got to be kneeling and witness him. And
my favorite moment when we recorded that episode was the idea that he just leans over and says, "Can I get these for you?"
He just hands her keys. And it's just not very good. I think the melodrama in this episode is ridiculous. And we've got a little boy masquerading as a full-grown priest in a suit. And
well, yes, you really did not like that character.
Right.
I don't know. Mulder's a big dick in this one, more so than usual. The biggest things is I don't agree with Scully's connection to Emily. I don't buy it, and it hurts the episode just because it's revolving around that. She's feeling all these things because, oh my gosh, Emily died, and I never knew her, but damn, oh my God, really she's so dead.
Well, I'll ask first of all, Kerry, was All Souls on your list at all?
No.
It wasn't? Okay. I will say that it was my number 2, but for the purposes of just joining in on the dumpster fire discussion, I will make it my number 3 and swap my 3 for 2, so we can come back around to that. I actually wrote a little bit for this, and I'm just gonna say it. This one was a big steaming turd of an episode that they tried very hard to shine and make a Scully gem out of. It is a hot mess. I'm sure it's not intentional, but there is the unfortunate takeaway message here that since the victims of this crime are severely handicapped, they seemingly don't have the right to live. This episode is yet another case of the agents not actually doing anything, but putting together the puzzle pieces too late. Does Scully ever have any agency? No. She's an observer that whines in a tacked-on confessional sequence that doesn't even line up with the events of the plot to give us closure to the Christmas Carol Emily storyline that no one really wanted.
Yeah.
All those things.
Well, yeah, and also they needed an episode for her because they were filming the movie and they needed to shoot retakes with Dee Dee.
And
so
we
it's
get
like
that. And you know what? I'm going to have to choose on the fly here because I included Christmas Carol and Emily in my list, but I might just combine them all into my third because it's all really one story here.
They're one big story. Yeah, fair enough.
I actually enjoy Christmas Carol, but I hate it because it gives us Emily. And then by proxy, All Souls. I think Christmas Carol was actually a pretty good episode and the reveal at the end was awesome, but I don't need this storyline. I know they needed something for Jillian to do, and to give her something, it could have been anything else other than Emily. Worse than All Souls is the episode Emily. So again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just combine those 3 episodes into my number 3 because they all relate to each other. And I just don't agree with the Smith arc. It comes and goes, and it's giving Scully something to be sad about just to be sad about it. And I don't. It's trying to tie it into the mythology, and it doesn't do a very good job of it. You know, we knew that the government was doing this alien-human hybrid thing. We don't need it to be that close to our agents for no real reason. We couldn't figure out what they're actually doing in the episode. We've got doctors that are killing people and saving people, and they're all aliens.
Well,
it's just...
If I was to pick on Christmas Carol, Emily, and by proxy, All Souls, I would say my big issue with Christmas Carol is that fucking Scully never gets a break. She can't even go on vacation. You know, Chinga is another example, right? What does she have to do? Does she have other vacations that we don't see where she has a perfectly lovely time?
Apparently not.
Well, I think it's worth noting that in our voting, the audience did not vote for All Souls as their top 3. So by definition,
that's good.
It is 0. It is possibly one of their least favorite episodes. Kerry, what is your number 3 worst episode of season 5?
It's Christmas Carol and Emily.
Okay, then.
I just wanted to be able to say it.
That's so perfect. Talk to us about why you didn't like it.
Because we haven't beat this horse to death enough.
Nice.
I'm just going to say one thing that has not been mentioned, that's Bill Scully. I can't.
Not much more needs to be said, I guess.
Yeah. I think everything else has been covered. So we can move on. That's fine.
I will say, though, and I'm not going to rise to the defense of the character Bill Scully, but I will rise to the defense of the actor who plays him, John Fogelberger's son. I don't know what his name is. He's a Colton-like character. We don't like him, but we because we don't like him, it works. You know, he clearly works as a character. So, and you can't have the light without the darkness. So, but yes, didn't do it for you. Okay.
No.
Well, as I said, the audience didn't much like All Souls either, but let us see what we did not like for our number 2 choices. And maybe we'll just continue on the Kerry train with her number 2 most disliked episode of season 5.
Chinga.
That's my number 2.
Okay.
Okay, so people just going to be pissed at my number 1 then. That's fine.
Tell us about Chinga.
The practical effects were awful, and we should not use children's finger paint to put blood on people's eyes. I have a feeling that my 2.5-year-old nephew could have done a better job. The hokey pokey. I hate it.
Oh, yeah.
I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. God, I don't know why I have such a blind spot for that episode. It totally would have made my list if I thought about it for half a
Its
second.
biggest offense is the fact that it's tied to Stephen King. I just expect more.
Mm.
I have no right
Chris
to do
Carter
that.
got his hand on it.
I don't know where the fault lies. I don't. It's
combination.
I'm not trying to throw shade at Stephen King. Obviously, the man knows how to write a book.
Yeah.
I'm not famous nor rich.
His original treatment of this episode is not what we see. It was massaged, or chiropracted, adjusted by Chris Carter significantly before it made it to filming.
Yeah, that's true. I guess. I think the inconsistent abilities of this doll and the overplaying of the hokey pokey, it was a little much. I wasn't impressed, and I think that's the episode's greatest flaw for me, is just that, this is supposed to be a big deal, and I'm like,
There was a high expectation, I remember, going into it because it was Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it aired, I was like, okay.
Yeah, I can get on board with the idea of that New England port town and a cursed artifact coming up from the sea. I get that whole idea. That's interesting enough. It's been done, yes, but they could have done something a little more interesting than just the hokey pokey, and then the really corny people killing themselves and record lady with the, I don't know, hair
in the Sunday machine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's on the par with they're all melding together. The scarf, the telekinesis scarf, death on the bus.
Born again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I already said my dislike for Chinga. It was just that poor Scully can't go on vacation with having something supernatural happen to her.
Yeah, if I have to say anything positive about the episode, I think most everyone does a great job. We got my boy Larry Musser in there doing a fantastic job. Gillian Anderson, of course, never fails. Yeah, but that's really about the only good stuff I want to say about it.
Well, that moment where she's calling Mulder for the first time and relating some of the facts of the case, and we have Musser listening in. And
check the back of the doll for a string.
Yeah.
String.
It's like they've got some good bits and pieces that they want to sprinkle into turd episodes just to give them a little bit of something to work with. The fingerprints on the glass for that other episode, Shadows. I even thought Shadows was like, no, it's not Shadows. Yeah, so they've got bits they just pull out when they need them, but then the overall episode is excellent choice, Kerry. I agree with you, Chinga. A great choice. Did our 1% liked Chinga, so totally agreed. Shall I say my previous number 3, now number 2 choice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Schizogeny.
Oh, okay.
From my final thoughts, not a great episode, probably not the worst. Interesting, I would say that. It's another case where the writers came up with an idea and found a platform to make it work, Killer Trees, but they chose to make it a show about child abuse rather than environmental themes. The only thing I liked was this take of the tortured psychologist with a split personality, and she's trying to do good as a result of her own horrible past. And there's the scene where she's getting, it's a close up and there's lightning, and it is really creepy. It's a really good.
The flashback scene. Yes, I agree with that. It's like a flashback of her with one of the kids, and there's lightning all over the place. Yeah,
that's the shining moment in this otherwise
and that's
horrible
about
episode.
It. Honestly,
the creepy voice thing is just, as soon as that starts happening, you're like, oh, no. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
They tried to do it, not even too much, but it just doesn't make any sense. Like, the trees are exacting revenge for these kids. Okay, that's good. Kids should not be abused. And I don't think anyone would agree with you or disagree with you. I think, oh boy. Anyway,
got many kids there,
no, not anymore.
Oh God.
So anyway, yeah. So the trees are reacting, and they're exacting revenge for these abused children, and that's okay. An interesting idea. It's different, but then they try to do the therapist who's pushing these kids to act out in harsh ways, and now they're getting in trouble through that, and then her father's possessing her at the end, and it's, what does this episode want to be? I don't
Well,
know.
and again, what do the agents actually do? I always come back to that, in that they are just observers. You have head chopping man come at the end to Deus Ex Machina their way out of it. And otherwise you look at this episode going, well, okay, that was 42 minutes. I won't get back.
Yeah.
And that was your number one, was it, Mike?
That was my number one. Fuck that episode. Right. I actually wrote it. Fuck off. I don't ever want to watch this episode again, and I never say that about X-Files.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Kerry, what was your number one?
Postmodern Prometheus.
Not a bad choice. I had it on hovering on my list.
BP is going to kill you.
Yeah, I didn't put it on, though, because I didn't want to be killed.
Hey, I stand by it.
Tell us why it is the worst episode in season 5.
It's quite possibly the worst, personally, the worst episode of the series. Because of, and I only wrote 2 things down. I said that it was a controversial subject matter. And for me personally, I can't get past that being the backbone of the episode.
Yeah.
And that's purely personal to me. I know that it wasn't something, I'm sure, that was done intentionally, and I know that we discussed it when we covered the episode. I can't, and I know that it was very well received, and I get the ideas behind it, and the black and white thing was very cool. The comic book idea was very cool. And for me, that's it. I cannot get behind the episode.
Mm-hmm. Well, they really tried to kid gloves that subject in a way to make it work, and you can't get away from it. You know, it's you can try and call it an alternate universe by making it black and white, and you can try and make your characters have a reason for the things they do, but at the end of the day, they still are horrible characters because they do these things. So
right.
I think the problem was that it was just at a time where they thought they were being edgy with this storyline, and they didn't really think about what they were saying. And certainly on the rewatch, you can't look at that and go, "Oh, this is fine," because it's not.
Through 2023 goggles, at least, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's as good as the episode is in terms of execution and humor beats, I would say. It's unfortunate. I think I even said that in the episode that, you know, this is supposed to be a joke episode, you know, just like a throwaway. With that kind of subject matter, it is tough, and I can totally understand that.
Yeah, I don't think we need to beat that one to a dead horse. No, beat that one to a dead horse. I believe that is a saying that they say somewhere. But yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I don't know if my number one choice will be as controversial.
Let's hear it.
Would you like to hear my number one most disliked episode in season 5?
Surprise me.
Mike, would you like to guess what that episode is?
Well, just because we have this antagonistic relationship, I'm going to say Kill Switch.
It is, in fact, Kill Switch.
God! It is not that bad, sir.
Number one most disliked episode for me in season 5 is Kill Switch.
Hands down, invalid opinion. You cannot have this opinion.
When I first watched this episode, I thought it was going to be amazing. William Gibson doing an X-Files episode, amazing. Even though the roller coaster that was the first watch of it, I was swept away. High octane performance and events. Tease it out another 30 minutes and you got a proper X-Files movie right there. But you watch it a second time, and the wheels fall off the car. A secret orbital weapons platform, a virtual reality setup that's perfectly implemented, an AI that doesn't know what it wants or why. I know this episode is a soft spot in Mike's heart, but as an X-Files episode, it is garbage. Though good popcorn munching garbage, I guess.
No, I totally get that stuff. That's funny. I know this episode has problems, and I'm not gonna just defend it. I get it, and it doesn't fall together perfectly by any means. So I understand it, and it is like I was mentioning in the season 1 top bottom. It's another tech episode, and those are very hard to the X-Files. They don't execute them perfectly at all.
I will say, better than Ghost in the Machine.
Agreed. Hands down.
So that was my number 1 pick.
That's interesting.
Mike, we already know your number 1 pick was Schizogeny. Kerry. His pick was Postmodern Prometheus. So I believe
let's get on to the top.
Let's go to the love portion of the episode, which I think everyone will agree is a much more enjoyable conversation.
It is.
So let us talk about the best episodes of season 5. Mike, would you like to start us off with your number 3 choice?
Yeah. My number 3 is Redux 2.
Ooh.
I really like this episode. I think, and it probably has to do with our covering of it. I don't think it comes to mind or came to mind much before that. Not that I didn't like it. I just liked other episodes, I guess. And thinking about it now, it's a good capper on that whole arc from the end of season 4 till the beginning of season 5. And there's a lot of emotion, a lot of suspense. For God's sakes, Quiet Willie finally gets to take his shot.
Yes.
And Mulder has this, come to Jesus moment. He's going to do anything he can do for Scully in her dying moments. And he gets to tell off CSM in just one of the best interactions. And it's just so cool to me that it happened on the streets, just kind of.
It was a neat scene that. And that was the first moment I thought in season 5, we're going into territory the X-Files has not really gone, which is a bigger show, lots of extras, bigger sets. They hadn't really done that for the seasons leading up to that.
Yeah. And I think they ended it very well with that really tense hearing, Mulder's being put on trial basically by the FBI, and it's a great moment, and Mark Snow's right there with that crescendoing music, and then he lays on the bomb that it's Blevins, and it's really cool. Skinner's on the line, and I think in our hearts we know he's not going to choose Skinner because it's Skinner, but it's still tense, and I loved it. I think it was really great.
And then in 15 seconds, like there are 2 dead characters.
A few deaths.
Remember that happening? I was like, what?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of, there's at least a half hour time jump at least, but it happens so quick.
Yeah.
CSM gets shot in that moment, and we're sorry to see him go, at least, go.
Temporarily.
And then we get the scene at the end with Scully, and her cancer's in remission. Everyone's happy. But then this tragedy that Mulder cannot be happy in the moment, because he's handed this picture of him and Samantha when they were kids, and he's reminded once again that he still doesn't have the closure for this thing he's been chasing his whole life. And he starts weeping at the end. It's actually pretty beautiful. Not to be weird, but
no. It's a nice emotional capper to everything that has gone before.
It's like ingrained in his character that he's not allowed to be happy, or I get that feeling from it. Like, I think it's pretty tense.
A classic tragic figure. Kerry, I'll ask, was Redux 2 on your list?
It was number 1 for me.
Oh,
okay, all right. Well, what would
we'll
you like
wait.
to say
We'll
about
wait
Redux?
for that. Or do you want to?
Would you like to talk about it then, or we're talking about it now?
It's fine.
Okay.
I can do it now. I liked. God, there were so many things I liked about it. It was fast paced with a lot of information, but done smartly enough so that it wasn't completely overwhelming to the audience.
Yeah.
I think that Scully's kind of crisis of faith, the scene with her mom, as much as I think her mom does what moms are supposed to do in this one. And it kind of like what Mike said, I just had down that it brought the 3 episodes together very, very nicely, which you don't always get, especially in a 3-parter, because you're kind of overwhelmed by that point.
Like Christmas Carol, Emily, and also.
And also, yeah.
Kind of like that. Yes, this is like the antithesis of that. The conference room scene or the boardroom and the Mark Snow, I think, just killed it.
Yeah. The reason that the Reduxes didn't get on my list was that conference room. They just kept on going back. I know they have to recover
Too many times for you.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I know that they got to cover the ground again because it is this sequel. You know, they need to bring a new viewer, or like a week will have passed between viewings for people in that time. So they've got to remind them of what happens. Like, oh yeah, right, the conference room. But in addition to that, they kept on doing it within the episode so that you're like, are you literally padding this out? You know, are you short on time and you need to go over this ground yet again? And it just got annoying for me. Like, it's not.
Well, you got
everything
you got to, to your point, and I agree with you. They started it in season 4.
Well, yeah, exactly. So you've been waiting like a year for this to come around, and you're like, finally, we're going to get to the end of this in season 5, and then you're watching season 4 again. It's like, oh, come on. So, but for everything you said, I agree. It is a quality episode, and to your other point of sort of adjoining sequel type episodes, it is one of the better set. But I just like, they could have trimmed it down to make it make it work in a way which wasn't quite so drawn out for the sake of being drawn out.
Gotcha.
And I almost didn't like the sacrifice of Blevins. Like, it's like Mulder has very little evidence to make that accusation. And maybe it's on the rewatch that sort of made me think that and go, oh, wait a second. He just calls out a name. And now it's like, well, we got to kill this guy. You know, it's like, he's probably dirty, but
it is a weird one because we haven't seen him essentially since season 1. So it's like, okay, so he's back now. So of course he's
so they
the
parachute
bad guy,
him in, to kill him. I mean, crime we've accused other episodes of.
Yeah,
so
I can see that.
Redux, not on my list. The listeners also gave it some love, 7%, but it's not high on their list either. I will tell you what the audience, our listeners, thought was number 3. Would you like to know?
Yeah.
Well, they liked Postmodern Prometheus because they're a bunch of romantics that have no critical thinking skills, I guess.
Whoa.
Everyone is entitled to their own wrong opinion, okay?
Whoa.
No, we appreciate the listeners for voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you for exercising your democratic rights.
Listeners, don't leave us.
There are some wonderful moments in Postmodern Prometheus, like a lot of other episodes we don't like that have questionable plot lines and things that they try to do, but they inject some things that are really fun. But for me, it didn't like it. It didn't make my list, certainly, because it was too much of an outlier. Like, I'm a sucker for the storylines that, the mythology. That was, to me, the highlight of the X-Files experience was, they kept you interested by giving you these little nuggets of the plot, and they would let you think about it on the off time, thinking, what does this mean? And I want to watch to see if they're going to give me another nugget, to give me another piece to the puzzle. And I think X-Files is one of the first shows that got out of the episodic mold, that every episode was self-contained. There are plenty of self-contained episodes, of which Postmodern Prometheus is definitely one, but it's so self-contained, it's just discardable because nothing in it has any relevance outside kind of like Kill Switch, I'm going to say. It's like you could not watch that episode and you wouldn't miss anything. The characters don't develop. They are being used as vehicles to tell another story.
Yeah.
And
it's arguably the most lift out of the show episode because you're left wondering, did it actually even happen? Kind of thing. Because it's meant to be that fanciful.
This comic book story. All right. Well, enough about that. Let's talk about us. Kerry, tell us about your number 3 choice of top 3 in season 5.
Bad Blood.
Number 3.
That is a controversial choice.
It was competing with my number 2. It just happened. Like, this is kind of like what happened before I read it first.
Okay.
That's.
And as we have said, I'm sure any of these top 3s can be interchangeable. It's not like you're like, I kind of like Bad Blood, but
absolutely, 100%.
Tell us about Bad Blood. Why is it so amazing for you?
It was so different than anything that had been done on the show up into that part. How the characters viewed each other. I love their interpretations of either being whiny or just, Jesus Christ, let's get on the plane now and we gotta go. Okay. Luke Wilson did a phenomenal job. I loved him. And
we almost be the government people.
Love that line.
Yeah.
Love it. And David Duchovny's comedic performance is so good.
Yeah.
And that's not taking anything away from Gillian Anderson because she's always great. But for me, the whole thing with Shaft, it's had me cracking up. I remember the first time I watched it. And the whole thing was just so well done and so well acted. Mm-hmm. I'm hard-pressed to find something that I would change in it. Usually there's like that one nagging thing.
Yeah.
But I can't think of anything.
Well, when we covered that episode, it was probably one of the shortest episodes because we had nothing to say about it other than how much we fawned over it.
Yeah.
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 It's such a great episode. And it's not on my list. And that was a hard choice, to be honest.
Well, I will say I couldn't decide for my top ones, so I kind of made it a tie. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to take it out of my tied for number 1 and put it here right alongside with Kerry.
Okay.
And agree that it is amazing. Everything you just said. It's so hard to dethrone this episode. It's classic Vince Gilligan making this amazing, amazing story. This totally innovative plot structure with the 2-act, 3-act really, because they do it from her perspective and then his perspective and then the
conclusion.
Then they resolve it.
Yeah.
I would say if there's another show that kind of toys with the plot structure, it's Folie, Deux, where you think it's this one story and then exactly halfway through it turns into another story.
Right.
Which is very interesting that they do that. So I agree with you, and certainly our listeners agree with you that Bad Blood.
I would be surprised. I don't know what the polls are. I haven't looked at them, but I would be surprised if that was not a number 1 for everyone. But yeah, I mean, this episode it's like Clyde Bruckman on crack with the humor. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is like Clyde Bruckman is funny, but it's very subtle and it's very dry, and it's underpinning a much more serious episode. But this one's just like slapstick almost. Like there's ridiculous stuff that you never imagined Mulder and Scully doing, or again, Mulder singing Shaft, or kicking a trash can over and over, and the fact that they are kind of pitted against each other in telling the story, the same story. We get it twice, but from 2 varying points of view, which is always a fun time.
Yeah,
but they just handled it so well. And I think my favorite aspect of this episode is just Mulder's retelling of it and how like timid he is with Scully. And he's like afraid of her. He doesn't want to set her off. Yeah. Even when he's at the beginning with the projector, he's like, all right, here we go. And just the way he says, here we go. Like he's going through slides like it's some sort of ride. He's so nervous. But it's
Yeah.
these two actors get to spread their wings in a very fun way. Love it.
I want to watch it again. It's that good. Yeah, excellent choice. So my number 3,
Yes.
if you're ready for it.
I am ready.
Unusual Suspects.
Nice.
Good choice.
I'm a sucker for the Lone Gunman. What can I say? They are such good side characters.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Fox agreed with us because they gave them their own show. But here you get to see them at their testiest, They're really sparring with each other. You look at them going, how are these characters ever going to make the team we know? Like, how does this happen?
Right.
And the plot walks you through exactly how that happens. And it's really, really well done. We get a younger, innocent Mulder and this marvelous extended sequence with Mr. X doing the cleanup of the warehouse.
So good.
So, yeah.
And you just watch that going, oh, okay, we'll get 30 seconds of this. But then it just keeps going. And there are these observers to it. And then afterwards you're thinking, how are they going to live? They've just seen all this stuff. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really, really neat.
Well, I'm going to piggyback on that one because that is my number 2 pick. And since we're at number 2s, I will agree with you. The first sentence I wrote, you can't go wrong with the Lone Gunman. And my favorite aspect of it is that we get a peek behind the curtain of who they are and how they came to be. And I think they were, like, we know them as a group. And this was our look to see them individually. And I love the backstories they gave each of them. Langley's the hacker pro. Frohicke's the slimy cable guy. And Byers is just a tool, right? So he's a government narc. So the fact that these characters are, I guess you could say same realm of dorkiness or nerdiness, but the way they come together, initially being at odds with each other, is so fun and so well done. And I wish their show had taken off because, I think they could have done some great things.
It couldn't have existed without X-Files, though.
No.
And I think because it grew up in the shadow of X-Files, it was very hard to allow it to have its own wings.
Mm-hmm.
Much like, I'd say, Bad Blood couldn't exist without 5 seasons of X-Files. Like, you couldn't have started with a Bad Blood. It would have been fun.
Right.
But you wouldn't know what to do with it, not knowing who these characters are. It would have been too weird. So I think that is the virtue of how much this show worked, that they could make Humbug and they could make Bad Blood. These really poke fun at themselves X-Files episodes.
Right.
That are just fun to watch.
Great episode. And it is my number 2. So shooting it straight back to you guys. What is your number 2? Who wants to go first?
Well, I think we should hear from Kerry.
Yeah.
Folie Deux.
Oh.
Ooh.
Well, it's appropriate that it's in your number 2 spot, seeing it's Folie Deux.
Thank you.
The only pun I can make tonight. So there you go.
That's
Tell us why it has made your number 2 pick.
The storytelling was so good. Again, it was kind of like with Redux 2, that it was fast-paced, but not so much that it was overwhelming, and it kind of slowed down at just the right spots. And who didn't see Mulder being in a psych hospital coming a mile away?
That was a nice line, yeah. Surely you knew this was coming.
Duchovny shined in the episode. I liked how you could see Scully going with the whole autopsy thing that she said she wouldn't do. And then kind of, yes, I'll do it right now. And blah, blah. She's not, they're never going to turn each other in or make the other one see, well, Mulder does a good enough job seeing me unhinged on his own, but the whole thing was just so good. And I cannot, Mike, can you remind me of the guy's name who played?
Brian Markinson.
Oh,
yes.
He gets 2 in ours, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Look at that. Wow.
Phenomenal job. Absolutely phenomenal job. I think it was just an all-around really great episode.
Classic Monster of the Week right there. It's Vince Gilligan, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think the reason it works is because it knows what it wants. It's not 3 different competing storylines. It's not a monster whose conceit keeps changing and he gets more powers, and
you just stick with it.
Yeah, it's really smart. And yeah, I think I've already said this tonight, but just the idea that the story changes, pivots exactly halfway through to a new set of stakes.
Mm-hmm.
They do not do that in many episodes, that kind of innovative change to the usual 4 or 5 act structure. Yeah, solid choice. Unfortunately, our listeners don't agree with you.
So
nice.
It did rank very highly. It is a popular choice. It just doesn't make our top 4, our top 3. So are you ready for my number 2 pick?
I am.
You will be so surprised.
I think so.
It is The Red and the Black. This is another well-crafted episode, a great amount of action and revelation, and a fitting conclusion to the 2-parter with an absolutely knockout performance by Gillian Anderson. The reveal of the cigarette-smoking man at the end probably made half the X-Files fans cheer and the other half roll their eyes. What does it take to kill this guy? But he's such a good villain. I'm glad to see him back. I mean, if there was a failing for me, it's that Mulder's alienating Spender without meaning to, and that, a few choice words could convince him that they're actually on the same side. But,
right.
They're trying new things. They're trying to add some new characters to the mix, and more power to them.
It is a great episode. It was kind of fighting with my number 2, but yeah, I think it's really fun. I'm a big fan of Agent Spender, so it's always nice to see him, even if he is an antagonist of sorts.
I'm not, actually. I don't think he adds a whole lot to the series.
He doesn't do a lot right now, and I think I think he's very whiny right now in season 5.
Don't hate me because I'm whiny. I'm written that way.
But overall, I think I like him.
For me, this episode is all about Gillian Anderson. The hypnotic regression sequence that she has to remember her encounter. That whole sequence just stands out for me. And I think when you're going through a kind of a retrospective like this, you kind of think about moments in episodes that resonated or that got you. And just when she looks up and the light is happening and oh my God, it's really powerful. And that she is there with Mulder, and she's reliving it and he's there able to relive it with her, but yet, he's not believing it. I mean, it's really powerful. So I guess that's always stuck with me. Yeah. Yeah. It just really, really worked.
Good choice. I like it.
Well, did we want to hear the audience's number 2?
Lay it on me.
Yeah.
With a voting result of 16%.
Ooh.
The audience chose as their number 2 pick, Detour.
Excellent choice.
It is
Good
a
episode.
great episode.
Very good.
And it was hard. It was hard to not to include that in my top, but I didn't. I
did not.
Did you include it, Kerry? You did not? Well, I did include it as my top pick.
Oh my God.
Your top?
I know. As my top.
Whoa.
Yeah. Granted, I did tie it with Bad Blood because I couldn't decide, but then I just messed it around so that it would record better. But it was a really good episode.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it shows us a bit of normal in the FBI, and those moments are far and few between in this show. Like occasionally you see them filling out forms or, having to go to court, those kind of moments. Yeah. But here we have them going to a workshop with these other no-name characters, Stone Cipher and Kinsley.
They're awesome.
They're great.
And they're
characters.
amazing.
I love them.
It's like putting Superman and Wonder Woman in the backseat of a car with 2 schlubs, and they're going off to a cafe somewhere. It's so well done. And then you throw in Mulder's new crush. You send out the party on into the woods for some old-fashioned monster hunting, and you got a great Monster of the Week episode. It's just really, really solid. And the fact that Stone Cipher and Kinsley save the day is so good.
Yeah,
they're getting the pats.
Who knew?
It's good stuff. And I fantastic episode. We get to go back out into the forest, and we get an interesting and fun bad guy. I think the kind of camouflaging humanoids is very cool. And
Yep.
I think the humor is just enough, not over the top, but Stana Cypher, those two agents, man, they're good.
They're awesome.
If there was a show that got picked up, it would be with them. I think that would have been great.
Yeah.
Or at least to come back in other episodes. I don't know why they didn't get to be recurring. That's a shame. Well, that was my number one. So let's hear from somebody else for their number one.
We already covered mine.
It's true. So I guess that means...
we already covered mine, unfortunately. But
what was it?
It's Folie Deux.
Oh.
I had to, kind of like with Ice, I wanted to go against the grain a little bit, not just to be a contrarian, because I don't disagree with that choice for like a top episode, but and I don't disagree with Bad Blood or anything like that, or even Detour. But I still am firmly in the camp where Folie Deux does not get enough credit. And you can talk X-Files for days and no one will bring it up. It's one of those episodes where you hear all these episodes and this one just kind of slips through the cracks. I can't say enough good things about it. I think it was such a simple concept, and it took the mundane and routineness of everyday work at a telemarketer's office and turned it into what everyone thinks. We're all zombies to this machine, and it made it this weird and creepy episode. And I like what they did with the creature. They made it kind of skitter about fast. They sped it up and used some computers to make it look a little creepier than it did.
Yeah.
Initially, because the suit was not good. and Brian Markinson, he's just a fantastic actor. And my favorite scene is where he's trying to get Mulder to look at the creature, and he yells, "Look at it!" And it's the most real thing you've heard in the show, probably, or at least one of them. This guy is just taken by this thing, and he's terrified, and he wants someone to believe him. It's just great.
To the point that he doesn't just open fire on it, too, right? Like, he's armed. He could end it right there.
He wants people to see it. And so he knows he's not crazy. Yeah. And then, everything Kerry said, I don't want to belabor the point, but the flip in the middle where Mulder now becomes the crazy guy, Gary's dead, so it's just good stuff. And Vince Gilligan, A-okay.
You do no wrong. That guy should go pro.
Think about it.
Well, I think we have come to the end. Oh, you want to know what the audience thought?
Yeah.
Was the number one pick.
Yeah.
What is the number one? Let me see if I can guess it.
I think you should guess it.
What have they chosen so far?
They have chosen Postmodern Prometheus and Detour.
So Bad Blood would be my choice for their number one.
What do you think, Kerry?
Yeah.
I will tell you that with a voting response of 26%,
Oh, shit.
the audience's choice for number one in season 5 is Bad Blood.
Ah, yes.
Hey.
Yes.
I'm going to go eat a Twinkie because I guessed correctly.
Eat a Twinkie.
Yeah. I mean, it is a solid episode. I mean, I kind of wish we'd said more about it because I think that was one of our shortest episodes ever.
But I mean,
So
it's hard to just sit there and fillet an episode over and over. Like, we all know it and we're all thinking it.
Yeah.
If anything, I would have wanted to talk about more about the production stuff, like where they went and what they did. But it's hard to find those resources sometimes. Well, I'm really pleased with this little exercise, and I think we should repeat it for
sure
seasons. Thank you very much to the audience for participating in our polls, because that was really, really useful just to get a sense of what people liked. I mean, not so straightforward as I would have thought, because there were some choices that were outside of the
looking at it now, I'm surprised because Pine Bluff outdoes Folie Deux, which is interesting.
It doesn't rank quite as high as you think it would, and surprisingly, Kill Switch almost dead last. Although you didn't put it as one of your top episodes. Mike,
I didn't even include it.
Kill Switch.
I don't.
Why didn't you include it?
I like it. It's fun. I enjoy it. And
It's not your top pick, though.
It's not a top pick because I'm not, insane. I know it's got its problems, sir.
Should we make fun of the people that ranked as their top picks some of our bottoms? Like, Schizogeny has
that got
3%.
votes.
Yeah, it got some votes there.
Shame on all of you.
Look, listeners,
Whoever voted.
I love you all.
However,
if you voted for Schizogeny,
you're banned from the
yikes.
No, if you voted for Schizogeny, you are very forgiving, is what I'm
yes, you
say.
are
Yes.
very forgiving.
Because-
And I suspect it's because of Mulder's boyish agility quote.
Oh God!
yeah.
I mean,
That's
that's funny, and I enjoy
Again,
it.
They
It's
throw in
the
little nuggets
only
of
funny
good.
part,
Yeah.
or good part, aside from the lightning.
No, it's interesting. It's again, I'm just poking fun. I'm not. Everyone has their own opinion, and that's great. If you
the
like
best thing
that
about this
episode,
show.
that's great. Maybe you can
Yeah.
tell me something that'll make me change my opinion on it. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear what they actually think about it. That's
I'm
interesting.
sure they will tell you in no uncertain terms.
I hope so.
Well, I think we should begin to wrap this up, and I think I just wanted to start by saying I've had a real blast doing this.
Yeah.
100%.
I particularly enjoyed sort of putting a lens on these episodes and examining them in a way that I hadn't done while I was watching them. Not that I need to, but for the show like this, you begin to realize they put a lot of thought into how they construct the episodes, sometimes too much.
Yeah.
But when it works, you can see how and why it works. And that's really a testament to just show how good this show is.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it has been fun. And that's in no small part due to the audience and everyone's participation. I appreciate that. We all
Thank
do.
all of you so much.
Yeah. We wouldn't be here without you. We would just be talking into the void.
Yeah, we'd just be talking about how good the X-Files is to ourselves. And,
To ourselves.
It's just good
Not
time.
nearly as much fun.
Yeah.
So true. Well, I'm going to go return this tux because
Yeah, night
You
over.
gotta
I
get out of
didn't
the stress.
I didn't put a deposit on it, and I think they're hunting me down. There's a black van circling my neighborhood.
He just stole the tux. He just
Listen,
walked in and he took it.
I am still trying it on to see if I like it. That's really all this
He
is.
says, I need this for my X-Files award night. And I said, sir, that show has been off the air for 20 years.
And I said, shut up, shut up.
It was all very
Oh,
stressful.
God.
Well, cue the awards show music. This has been a real pleasure.
Well, it's
Good
Family
night to you.
Feud,
But
never mind.
I've put Kerry into a tearful laughing fit. That's awesome.
Oh boy.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
Until next time, dear listeners, it's been a pleasure.
thank you for listening.
So long and good night.
Thank you for joining us on This Is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast Top 3, Bottom 3 Award Extravaganza. Here's a sneak peek on what to expect on the next round of episodes. Thank you and good night.
Certainly a popular episode. No doubt people were excited to see what they were going to do after the big burnout from the end of season 1.
Yeah, 9.8 million. Did you get 6? Was that a real number?
16.1.
Where'd you get that?
Yeah, it's on the X-Files fandom wiki, whatever.
Okay,
it
well,
is.
I will believe that one because I went to the other wiki, the Encyclopedia wiki, and it said 9.8.
Wow.
Obviously,
Conflicting
anything you
wikis.
can read on the internet must be true. So,
Some Fox executive went in there and nudged up the numbers to 16.1.
yeah,
million.
this episode was fantastic. Everyone loved it.
Funny, all the comments are so positive.
Yeah,
Does that mean you're the host and I'm the co-host, or are we both hosts?
we are both hosts.
Because we're talking about the host.
We're all hosts in this episode.
And we are all hosts. Oh, yeah. On brand.
Quite
Okay.
literally.
Well, I'm doing well. I'm ready to be hosted.
I hope you have a host of notes.
I do have a host of notes. I got a lot of bullet points.
I also have some Hostess cupcakes here.
Do you have Hostess down there? I thought Hostess was a Canadian thing.
Oh no, we've got them all over the place.
'Cause
At least in
does
Wisconsin and Illinois, yeah.
Does Hostess make potato chips?
No, mostly just cakes and cupcakes and brownies.
Okay, well, up here they used to make potato chips, and they were in these really cool cellophane bags, but that was a long time ago.
I don't think I've ever seen a Hostess chip.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the Hostess Foodstuffs podcast.
That's the change this season, you know?
We are changing directions.
We're focusing on the smells, the tastes of the X-Files.
Yeah.
Especially this
exactly.
episode.
Yeah, and because it's called The Host, it's very much in line with what we do now.
Yes.
So Mulder is reviewing a surveillance tape. He's eating his trademark sunflower seeds and looking very unsatisfied with his assignment. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen the sunflower seeds?
No. I can't imagine. I'm probably putting my foot in it, but I do not believe so. I'm going to say that right now.
Cue listener comments. I
Cue
believe
listener.
the sunflower
Episode
seeds,
3, time code 1439.
possibly in Tombs. I have a recollection that maybe.
I said episode 3, so in the parking garage.
Yeah,
Parking garage.
I think that's weird.
I am correct. Okay, sweet.